Kids and cadets, welcome back to Tommy Time. Appreciate all of you coming out and checking out my channel. I really am motivated to show you guys junk on four wheels. Today's no different. Toro recycler 675 149cc. My son was out helping recently cleaning a machine. He says, "Oh, no oil change required." He says, "Was that just mean add oil is necessary?" And I said, "Yeah, but don't pay attention to that. Us small engine mechanics know that's a farce. Change the oil." So one of my projects today was this machine. Let me give you the Toro number for reference. It is 20377 20377. Serial 4046 12533. I believe this is a 2018 according to the engine. 675 XT 675. California warning: do not operate equipment that could cause sparks, which will set fire to dry vegetation. So threw this up on the test bed without even firing it off. I remember this came in, I think it came in a group of 3. I remember it had no gas cap, so we're gonna try to put this thing back together. What I've done already is taken the carb apart. When I saw the makeshift gas cap here, I thought we're gonna have a water in the carb issue, and then sure than shit we did. You can see the red ring around the aluminum tube here. I kind of took a wire brush, got rid of that. The whole bowl here was filled up with rusty red water and some red slime, so I threw everything in the ultrasonic cleaner, ran it through twice. I took off the idle jet and cleaned that out as well. The brass emulsion tube had a lot of green slime on it with white buildup. I poked all the holes clean with this, took a little wire brush, got rid of that. Main jet was open. I knew I was in an issue when I dropped the bowl nut, and there was a big clump of red crap here, so I knew I was in for a treat. So unit is complete. We did have an air cover to it, and Harvey could not make it to Lowe's for an oil filter, so he took some AC filter and kind of did a homemade jobby. So came up here with some sandpaper. There was some rust on the flywheel, kind of rotated at 360, cleaned this up. Looked at the plug looked fine. Took the plug out for inspection. So the only thing I have to do is track down the float and the needle. I kind of cleaned that up by hand. I went through the ultrasonic once with it, then I took it out and kind of brushed the red ring around the float. That was all. Had a red ringer around it. So let me figure out where I put it. Okay, it's near my garden hose. I was washing it. It's got a rubber tip needle, which seems to be in okay condition. So now we can proceed put this thing back together. I'll stand off to the side. Where can we start? We'll start with the idle jet. I put a little wire through here. Made sure we were clean. So that goes back in. You can either mark the plastic screw or count how many threads go through the other side. I kind of looked at thread count. It was nearly all the way through. So small screwdriver. Start turning this thing. So we'll try starting it, and if all is good, then I'll move on to the front wheel drive. Make sure that's working. Find the gas cap for it. See how the blade looks. It's been stored outside. There's a bunch of pine needles on the deck. Okay, that looks about right. So that's on. Let's concentrate on the emulsion tube. Put that down in there. The brass jet on top of it. If you want to take a little WD-40 to help you get all that back together, you can give that a squirt. I had taken my rust buster and put a couple of drops in there, 50-50 acetone ATF, to get rid of the rust on top of the main jet. Okay. So that's tight. Let me grab another screwdriver just to be sure. This one seems to be slipping. I had another wider driver. Which I don't know what I did with it. So I just retightened it again. Now we can put the float and the needle in. Put the needle down the hole. Put my pin in. Moving, let me blow some air in the intake tube here. It was kind of gurgly. There may have been some water trapped in the tube. I'm just going to give it a light. Oh, I see some moisture there. Give it a little blast. A couple of drops poured out. Okay, that's working good. That's as clean as it's going to get. So this style has a notch in the bowl, so it fits in the notch here. I had a puff of wind here out of the north. Put my nut on with the washer, and then we'll put this thing back together again. This is a 10 here. I'm going to get a 10 open in and use that instead of an impact. I don't want to go too crazy. Okay, that's tight. So let me start facing you up. So you come around this side. First thing I'm going to do, I have my linkage for the auto choke. I'm going to hook that into place. It's a 180 type hook. Okay, so that's there. I'm going to feed the carb onto the two studs. Bring the thermostatic wafer over and mount that on top of the muffler. I put some oil on the threads here. These tend to get rusty, heating up, cooling, heating, cooling. Plus this thing was stored outside. Okay, now I'm going to do my spring and the governor slash throttle. So this is an easy one. Just kind of straighten out the throttle and push the linkage down in. Spring goes in its little hole. That's free and clear. I'll blast the two 10 millimeters here with my impact. Okay, since I'm in the front, I'll put my plug back in. They used an Autolite 4164. Normally when you get these Kohlers, they come with the factory Kohler plug. It's stamped Kohler with the part number. So this Autolite's aftermarket. So I blasted out the tank just with it sitting there, and some lawn debris poured out, but no moisture. So I've got some gas, fresh gas on the ground. Let's put the fuel line on. It looks like there's a couple of cuts here. I'm wondering if I should cut this back just for testing purposes and maybe change the line out. Let me get a razor and cut a little of that off and hopefully stretch it enough to work. I may have done that when I put my channel locks on it and twisted it to break it free. I might have been too aggressive, too much Tommy time motivation drink. Take the worst razor I could find. I think the back end of the razor is sharper than the sharp side. So this may leak because it's kind of short. We'll deal with that later. I just want to see if this thing's going to start. Okay, that should clamp it good enough to start. Okay, linkage is free and clear. I'm happy with that. That's springing close because it's cold, which is what I want. I don't want a lot of air going in. I want more fuel to help this thing start quicker and warm up. Backing the plate. You're next. Okay, there was a gasket. Here it is. Nope, got it up. Got it backwards. There's a little notch here for that opening. Put this on and then go ahead and feed the breather tube into the nipple and the block, and that's there. Okay, let me grab the two screws for that. They're 10s. This Job's basically done with 10mm socket and a pair of these needle nose curved. I'll put a good paper filter in it, but just for right now, I'm gonna use the AC. Yeah. I'm trying. Okay, so that's good. My neighbor's encouraging me. Okay, so that's there. Let's drop it down a foot and we'll put some fuel in it. I usually don't get Kohlers that are dead. Once in a while, they seem to be dependable. I know some of you don't like them. So I got to look for a dead Kohler engine where I can swipe the gas cappy. The recoil was dragging when I was first looking at this thing, so I oiled that up. Like I said, it's been sitting outside, so spring is rusty and the recoil, the nut here under the cup is rusty. And I just dropped my spacer. There we go. Now we're cooking. I'm going to take my little handheld oil can and put some oil on these studs. My oil squirt bottle. Squirt for you, and squirt there. We'll do a little motivate. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So what else has been happening? The other day when my brother and son were here, we had gone to lunch. We were on the way home down the street. A guy had a flat trailer with two go-karts on it. They look like one of these commercial go-karts from the from one of these parks, recreation park, or there's a couple around. My son named off the one he thought they came from, so I think the guy was visiting somebody. I jumped on my bike, I pedaled down there and talked to him. I said, "Are these for sale?" And he says, "They could be." And so I was looking at them, and they look like big, heavy commercial go-karts. And I was telling my son afterwards, I said these things were heavy, bumpers all the way around. You know, they weren't made for speed. They were made for durability and people crashing. I looked at the engines. He said, "Oh, they're Subarus," because I didn't recognize them. They had a big starter on them. And they had been sitting. They had like 6 inches of pine needles. I don't know where he got them. But he told me the local place, and we knew what it was. So I thought, well, if they were sitting, there must be a lot wrong with them, because a business is going to try to keep the go-karts running. They make money on them. you know, if it's a simple fix, they're gonna fix them and put them back out on the track. And I got enough junk. I thought, no, we'd even talk price. I saw they were kind of rough, and so I says, thanks for showing them to me. I looked at them for like 60 seconds. Okay, so I just put a half a tank of gas in there. They would have been cool, but they probably only go 20 miles an hour. Big, bulky things. Like I said, they're made for crashing. Okay, we're at the top hole. We're pretty level here on the deck on my table, so I'm going to go with that. It looks good. Somebody was feeding squirrels peanuts or something. There's some peanut shells here on this side, along with acorns and pine needles. So I'm going to put a rag in here in case we kick up anything, or maybe the aluminum. Yeah, I'll do aluminum until I can get a cover for this. We'll just go like that, but I'm not going to let that stay overnight. It'll be filled with condensation. Okay, so we got gas, oil. I got the bale handle tied up. Okay, the wheels aren't, front wheels are locked up, so that's going to be something. And I just poured some gas out, tilting it back. Gas poured out of the tank, so I probably shouldn't have put that much gas in it, but I did. Why is my camera foggy? Okay, we leaking gas out of the carb. No, that's all drier than a baby's bottom. Like I said, front wheels are locked. They are not doing a thing. That could be part of this thing sitting outside, rusted wheels. So let's see if the engine starts. I'm going to take the string off the bail bar in case I have to do an emergency stop. I'm not fiddling with string. 1, 2, some rusty shit's pouring out of the muffler. I see some rusty puffs. Yeah, we put the plug back in. Okay, so we're dead in the water on this. Nitro. We'll try nitro. I don't know if we're getting spark or if it's fuel. We'll find out. Another drink of motivation. I had a larger can of nitro around. I think the one in my hand is dead. I gotta look for the second can. So what do you guys think it is? Okay, one side of the blade's bent down and the whole underside here's got that surface rust, like this thing was submerged, like flood victim. Okay, that one's going in the trash because there's no propellant. Nothing like live television, I tell you. Okay, we're going to get another can of highly flammable liquid. If not, I'm going to pour a cap full of gas and tip it in there. You know what I could use? I've got some fresh mix 25-1. I could put a cap full of that. It'll just be smoky. Let me do that to save time. I made a new batch of 25-1 because I was messing with some equipment this week that I thought it looked like it had been sitting for a while, so I wanted to use 25-1, a little more oily mix, and then I can go to 40-1 once it starts. I open up the choke manually, give it a little pour, tilt the carb back. Okay. I'm going to leave the cover off, although this air filter isn't the issue. It's so porous. We're not blocking air with that thing. Could be the plug. I'm not that fond of Autolite. I got some Kohlers hanging around. I could steal the plug if we need to. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's keep going down the hole. Grab my sockets for the plug and then try something. Tie my bail bar back, pull on the recoil and see if we got spark. Maybe I should have taken the coil off and cleaned it up. I just cleaned the rust off of the flywheel and I didn't bother with the coil. Okay, so it is a little damp here. So there was something getting in here, but not igniting. So let me put the plug in the plug wire. I'll ground it out on the overhead valve cover, let it rest there. Tie the bail bar back and do a 1 pull or 1 arm Annie pull. What I may do is just grab the rope. The rope from here and pull. Okay, that was sparking. I got spark here. So just to kind of eliminate a weird plug, I've got a Toro right here that I had started working on doing paint work. I think I'm waiting for a blade for it, maybe. And of course, it's not the right size socket. The Autolite's a little different. The other thing could be we don't have compression. That would be the terrible thing, because it looks like we got spark. I poured fuel, direct inject with a little mix. So maybe I got hoodwinked thinking the fuel cap was the only thing wrong. And we had 3 pounds compression. And I went down a 6-level rabbit hole. Okay, so this has got a champion in it, this Kohler 675, Romeo Alpha 8, Hilo Charlie. So champion makes a cross reference for the Kohler. So I know this plug works, but I'm going to test it anyway. That machine I've already been through, and we got spark. Look like a little different color in the spark than the auto light was. We'll know here in a minute. It was pretty straightforward on the carb clean. I got rid of everything. All the orifices were open. Main jet, secondary jet. So that shouldn't be hampering us. Okay, let's start all over again. I see my nitro right next to DeWalt. They go hand in hand, my 2 favorite items. Open up the choke wafer direct. Oh boy, it's going to do it to it, prove it. If not, we're going to be barking up a big sequoia tree. It feels like it does, but it's not. Okay, let me keep going. I'm going to grab my compression tester. Hold on. I got this from Lang Tool. It's a small engine compression tester. It's a little thing. It looks like it's the TU21 maybe. I'm not sure, but go to Lang Tools. I think I got it from another place. Lang is just the maker. I got it from another small engine joint, I believe. I don't know. I had it for a while. I've been using it. hose is stamped 1974. Geez, I hope it hasn't been sitting since then. That's kind of weird. Unless the 1974 means something else. So I was hoping this wasn't going to happen when I had this on the table. I just grabbed this because it was nearby. And I hadn't even tried to get it to fire off with happy juice. I just went to town with the carburetor. I might have went to town with no money in my pocket, it looks like. With 3 beanstalk seeds. Try to line this up. The wires kind of blocking my vision. We're going to get it to catch here in a minute. Once it catches, it just goes in hand tight. Okay, let me get down here. Got the sun right in front of me. Is it going to work or not? Check something here. What is the angles like that? You know what? It's all coming back to me. I had to use my Harbor Freight style adapter because I think this is a smaller. Oh, I don't know. Use the adapter that can go inside. Okay, I couldn't get the Lang pressure tester to work, and then I remembered I used one of these small adapters from my Harbor Freight style kit because I had tested the compression a while back on a Kohler, and I kind of forgot this wasn't working for me. I had to grab an adapter. I actually got this, I think, on Temu or Amazon. There we go. I didn't have the right adapter. Okay. Shit show 101. Let's pull this thing over. I want to stick a screwdriver in the intake to open up the choke. I want this thing to be able to breathe. So we'll stick that in there, full choke open, and just pull, pulley, pull, pull. 2, 3, 4. We'll do 5. 5. What do we have? Oh, okay. So that's my fault. 51 or 52 psi. So this may have been flooded out. That's unfortunate. So it's not going to kick off with that low of compression. I wasted time on this. So let me tip this thing over. You can see the underside. Okay, I did think it was kind of weird. Changing plugs, nothing. Kept trying to put motivation into the carb to get us somewhere, and we got nowhere. So that was a stinker. What I may do is put some of my Rust Buster concoction down the spark plug tube. Maybe we got some sticky rigs, but look at that surface rust. Sure looks like fluddy-duddy. You know what I mean? When everything is got that surface rust. So that's a stinker. Okay, this was the guard to go around the front. Looks like it bent back or got chopped off. Somebody took a sawzall to it and cut it off, because it should have a shield here protecting the drive. So that's too bad. This was a failure. Live and learn. At least you guys got to see a turd live on camera. Okay, sorry about that. If I can't resurrect this one, I do believe I have a Toro in the back with the Kohler. The whole thing here is rusted through, so I could snatch that engine, get rid of this one. I've got a pretty solid deck except for that surface rust underneath, which doesn't amount to anything. So I need another engine. That would be a good donor. The whole engine, front of the engine's sagging down because there's no front end support on that Toro recycler, so that may make a good donor candidate. Okay, you guys, appreciate you coming out. Sorry it was a lagathon. Sometimes it's like that. Tip you waitress and wait staff. Adios, amigos. Any questions, concerns, complaints, you can email me, tommy.time@yahoo.com, and I'll address your concerns in an expedited manner. Thank you.